When you're chosen one, you start to leave that old world behind. You leave that old world behind. You start to leave that world that is not you anymore. And what happens is that the reason why you were like with everybody else before, and you realize that the old world where you were before, because as a chosen one, you grew up with kind of loving everyone. As a child, you didn't have that kind of prejudice inside you. You didn't have that. But when you're around your old school friends and family and all that, most of them are all kind of battling with everybody. They're battling with every culture, race, and everybody. But as a chosen one, as a child, you grew up with everybody. You saw everybody pretty cool. But then, as you started, being with your old school friends and your family, you start to realize they always were kind of negative and always toxic, and they always brought your energy down no matter what. And they always saw something special about you, the way you used to speak and talk, but they always thought like you were just being a little bit far fetched or being kind of illusional, but they didn't realize your true potential that you truly had. They didn't realize that you were, in some sense, kind of a shaman who can actually communicate to other dimensions. So, in some sense, they didn't realize your true potential. But as a chosen one, you start to realize that you start to leave that old world behind that old school world behind, and you start to move into the new world that's really who you truly are. And it feels like every time you go back to the old world and you go back to the old school family and friends, you realize they still ain't even changed. They're still the same and still that. But you can't leave them, because God's putting them, all those people there for a reason. All those people are there for a reason. And they're going to keep being how they are. They're always going to be how they always will be. But when you around them, you can see something kind of like funny. You know what I mean? That it's like kind of comedy, because it's like, it's not like you laugh at them. It just becomes kind of like, it's just funny. You know what I mean? And it just sometimes when you go back to the old school people, some of them have just woken up from the matrix. They leave the matrix. Some of them are still in that kind of grind and all that, and you can respect that. And you don't need to think that you're better than them. You can actually give them little advice, but they're not going to really listen to you, because they're so programmed into their matrix that they're not going to listen to anything you say. But then you start to realize, as a chosen one, that you really do need to leave the old school world